Right now, we're watching to see Donald Trump leave at any moment for the courthouse in New York as he faces a double legal threat today. Two different cases. In one, criminal prosecution that could lead to possible jail time. In another, a nearly $500 million bond payment that is due today. First up, a hearing in the hush money case involving his former fixer, Michael Cohen, and adult film star Stormy Daniels. That will begin in the next hour. Today is also the deadline for Trump to come up with $464 million bond, or possibly see his accounts frozen and his properties seized by the AG. Properties like Trump Park Avenue, Mar-a-Lago, his Seven Springs estate, and 40 Wall Street. Let's get straight to CNN Chief Legal Affairs Correspondent Paula Reed, who joins us from outside of the court. What do you expect to see today? And I know we are getting very close to Donald Trump showing up.
Yeah, Sarah, this is a big day, even by Trump standards. Today was supposed to be the first day of the first criminal trial against former President Trump, but instead, his lawyers will spend the morning in the courthouse right behind me with their client, and they're going to be arguing why this case should either be postponed further or dismissed outright after 100,000 new documents, pieces of evidence, were handed over by federal prosecutors. Now, this is a state-level case. This new evidence came from federal officials related to their investigation and prosecution of Michael Cohen. And Michael Cohen is really key in this case. The allegations here are that Trump paid hush money to former adult film star Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 election to stay quiet about their alleged affair. Now, Sarah, there's nothing wrong with paying someone to be quiet about a personal relationship, but the allegation here is that this money was paid to help his chances in the 2016 election, and then he is charged with falsifying business records and trying to cover up why he was paying Michael Cohen back. Now, in terms of this new evidence, Trump's lawyers argue that it helps their client and they need at least 90 days to review it. But the district attorney insists that there's only a small portion of it that's actually relevant to this case. And if it helps anyone, it helps them. So, Sarah, today, we don't expect that this case will be dismissed, but we do expect the judge will give us some clarity on when this trial will go forward.
There is also the deadline today for the bond payment of $464 million. Donald Trump has gone on social media and talked all about the fact that he says he has the money. His attorneys say otherwise. What can you tell us about that case today?
Yeah, definitely mixed messages coming out of the Trump camp, but this has been an embarrassing episode for the former president, who prides himself on his identity as a very successful billionaire, because so far he has not been able to post this $464 million bond that he needs to put forward. This is related to the civil trial that he faced several months ago, where he was found liable for fraud. Both he, his two older sons, and the Trump Organization, a judge found, lied about their net worth to get better terms on loans and insurance rates. And in order to go forward with his appeal, he needs to post this bond while that appeal is processed. Now, at this point, he has not been able to post this bond. Dozens of insurance companies have declined to underwrite him. So unless he can come up with this money some other way, it is possible, Sarah, that the Attorney General could start seizing his assets. Now, that's not something that will definitely start today. There is a process there that we know. She has filed paperwork in Westchester County outside Manhattan, so that could be a place where she is prepared to seize assets if she needs to. But Sarah, there's also an optics, a political question, right, about seizing property, if that's something that could potentially help Trump. So it's a huge day here in New York for former President Trump.
Yeah, he's certainly been fundraising off of all of these cases. We will have to wait and see what happens in court today on both fronts. Thank you so much, Paula Reed, outside court for us. John?
All right, with us now is former Assistant Attorney General for the state of New York, Tristan Snell. He led the investigation and prosecution of Trump University. Counselor, thanks so much for being with us. You know, Paula and Sarah were just talking about the political implications of maybe having property seized. But let's look at that another way. What would happen if Donald Trump were not a politician? If he were just normal defendant X who lost a civil fraud trial, what would happen to his properties and bank accounts today if he did not post bond?
The normal process is, first you go after the bank accounts, because they're the easiest things to get. That's liquid cash. He has bank accounts in New York. Those are going to be the first things that the authorities will go after. The properties would be next. There'd be no question that this process would play out very normally if he were a normal person. He's getting special treatment. And that is what the thing that really needs to stop here. If he were not who he is, if he were not this, claiming to be this special person that is somehow above the law, then this process actually would have played out years ago, and it would have resulted in his assets and property being seized.
He is getting special treatment?
Yes, he has absolutely been getting special treatment. He's been getting special treatment this entire way. He was able to evade accountability in this matter all these years. We're talking about events that happened back in the 2010s in terms of the fraud, in terms of the falsification of business records case involving Michael Cohen. Those were events that occurred back in 2016. All of this is stuff that would have come home to roost for any other defendant not named Donald Trump long before now.
You say he's the financial equivalent of a flight risk. What do you mean by that?
He is. I mean that he's already shown in this case, in the AG case, he already violated a court order that said that he couldn't move assets around during the pendency of the case. He took $40 million cash out of the Trump Organization, his main holding company, and used it to pay other expenses of his, including a very large tax bill that he owed the federal government for $29 million, and including money that he needed to pay to E. Jean Carroll for assaulting and defaming her. So we've already seen his ability to take some of these assets that now belong to the state of New York to pay this judgment, unless he manages to win on appeal. He needs to actually keep these assets in place according to that court order. He already violated that. So my feeling is, and I feel the AG's office should be pursuing this, they should be looking to expedite these collection processes, because he's already proven that he will find ways to make these assets disappear and to evade the judgment that's been handed down against him.
Expedite how? If you were the Attorney General of New York this morning, what assets or bank accounts would you try to impact, and how would you do it?
There are a number of Trump bank accounts that are held here in New York, at least as far as anybody knows. That certainly was true as of a decade ago. As far as anybody knows, that there are probably still some of those accounts that are still in New York. Any New York account or a bank that does business in New York, and that's virtually all banks, they're going to listen if they get a court order. They're not going to not pay attention to that court order. They are going to abide by that court order. So those liquid assets, that cash, that is something that can already be seized if he does not post the bond today. The properties take a bit longer to do. There is a legal process that must play out. That's a process, though, that takes months, not years. So this is something that could happen fairly quickly.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of focus on the properties, maybe because they're higher profile. But it seems to be what you're saying is that the bank accounts could be what she goes after first, and maybe even today.
You know, it might not be today, but could it be this week? I absolutely think that it could be. I think they've been ready for this. Trump has been telegraphing for a couple of weeks now that he is not going to be able to come up with that money. At least his lawyers are, right? His lawyers are saying we can't come up with the money. Trump's still sitting there boasting like he's going to be able to somehow come up with this money, that he just has it lying around. He clearly doesn't, because if he did, this problem would have gone away by now. And the fact that we're sitting here today shows that he simply does not have the cash.
Tristan Snell, thank you so much for being with us and explaining what we may see as soon as today.